What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So prepare yourself for a story of the worst holiday of my entire life. Okay, so as you guys know, if you've been watching the previous videos on this channel, things haven't always been going exactly according to plan. So first, when I flew to China, my flight was slightly delayed, and then when I landed, they decided, when I had to change flights for a domestic flight the next day, that basically I would not be going directly to my destination. Instead, due to a whole heap of issues around weather, I would be going through a number of cities before I got to my final destination, so flights were a complete mess. And if you know anything about my health situation, I have lower back issues, and extended periods of sitting down with bad sleep, which is basically what I got, pretty much does wonders for my lower back. So by the very next day after that, arriving at my destination and finally meeting up with my wife, my lower back was sore, to say like an understatement. So I was basically very, very cautious for the next few days. And then after that, we were traveling in pretty much remote China, in an area where the food was not exactly great. I don't know, it's just not to my palate, and it's not even to my wife's palate. In fact, it's probably the only region of food that we didn't enjoy in all of our trips to here in China. We're basically going through different minority regions. And as we traveled around, we stayed in various hotels, and then for whatever reason, each one of the hotels we stayed at had lots and lots of noise pretty much through the night at different times. Maybe because the hotel was located near some type of road, and then trucks would be traveling through, so my sleep was shot to shit. Now, I didn't cover that too much on the channel because who wants to listen to, a white guy complaining about being on holidays? Like, it's not exactly the most interesting of topic in the world, but that is the situation. And then things got fun. See, about 3-ish days ago, I noticed that I started to go to the toilet a little bit more frequent than normal. And then things started to get more and more frequent. Until about 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, I don't know, things are a little bit blurry, where I was basically a fire hydrant in the toilet. I was like putting this thing through the test. It was getting probably 30 years worth of use within the period of about 1 day. And I am not joking, man. Like, things were going in me and they were coming out of me. In fact, things were coming out of me that I'm pretty sure were never in me in the first place. I don't even know how they got there, and I don't even know how they came out. The fact the human body holds so much water was proven due to the fact that I had a fire hydrant coming out of me. Like, if I was a water pistol, you could hold me up to the wall and paint the entire wall with magical colors. It was so amazing. So I was dehydrated. I was dying in my hotel room to the point where I was sitting on the toilet at one point and my vision started to black out, and I knew exactly what that meant because I'd experienced that before in the army from dehydration, and I had to sit down on the floor in the corner of the hotel room, basically going like this type of thing, trying to call out my wife's name who was in the other room, going, babe. Like, I barely could get like my voice out at this point. Like, I was so bad. And then when she finally realized that I was dying in the other room, she managed to quickly get me down to the emergency department here, which is where I shot that one little film, or the short that you guys all saw. And at that point, I was so like dehydrated, it's not funny, and I was starting to run pretty close to a fever just at the very point as when I rocked up at the hospital. And then I got to say, like, the hospital staff here, they move pretty quick, which is, in Australia, if you rocked up, I don't know, like at the emergency ward, because I've never had to, but generally if you went to a health center, they would probably keep you on a line for about 6 hours, and then, yeah, that would have been fun. But anyway, I rocked up here, they got me basically on drips right away, and they had like 4 bags of something up there. At least 2 of them were sodium chloride or whatever it is. Basically, it's the one where they just pump like lots of water into your body to kind of rehydrate you, and then they had me on like various antibiotics and stuff like that. And I had to stay there for about 4.5 hours until about 2:30 in the morning, just on these drips. And I would have stayed there basically the whole night, but it was so noisy. There was like constant people coming in and out type of thing, and I had up until this point barely any sleep, so I was just freaking dying. So my wife managed to get me back into a taxi and then back to the hotel room, and then I pretty much spent the next day eating, like consuming large amounts of pills and consuming no food at all, because just the smell of food made me like want to vomit type of thing. Like, my favorite food she bought for me, put down in front of me, and I was like, please take that away from me. It's so disgusting. It smells so bad right now. So I was literally just eating pills and like a tiny little bit of forced food, and that was basically my wife shoving food in my mouth going, you have to eat something. You can't just keep going to the toilet and not have something to come out. Like, yeah, it was bad, and my joints were aching, I was sore, and then until like about last night was when I was like starting to come back to life. Things were starting to make sense about like what had happened type of thing. And then I was awake until about 2:30 last night, and then I finally went to sleep, and I had the best sleep of this entire trip. Like, I was out cold, and I woke up today. I must have woke up around midday or something like that. Like, it was close to it, but like, I finally felt normal again. Like, the chaos had finally ended. And then my wife, as if the worst prank in the world, turns around to me and says, I'm not feeling too good. And I was like, oh God, please no. And then I found out about 10 seconds later she was fucking with me, which was just evil, to say anything of the least. But basically now my trip has come to an end in China. I've got like a couple of days left here. One of these is going to be basically me traveling to the airport, going back to Australia. And I pretty much need a holiday for my holiday at this stage. Like, it has been a bad trip. Now, I've been to China a few times. Generally, my back gets sore, and that's about it. Like, there's generally not too many bad things that happen, but this trip has been, like, everything combined. I decided, you know what? Fuck doing this cruisy, you know, stereotypical travel that people love to do. I'm going to do it hard, man. I'm going to take on whatever they got here, smash it all at once, build up the immune system, and then, yeah, like, have a true down-to-earth Chinese trip, and yeah, it was fun. So, how many points out of 10 would I recommend this? This was clearly a 6 out of 10. I highly recommend you guys do it. If you want to know where I've eaten at and try it out for yourself, I'm more than willing to recommend restaurants. In fact, you might be curious to know why I got what I got and she didn't get it. We kind of backtracked and tried to figure out everything that we did, because we ate all the exact same food, except for one thing. And it might have been this, but we're not sure. So we're in this like really remote town, and it had like 2 shops. In fact, that was the one where I was jamming shit in the PowerPoint. And yeah, I read your comments, guys. No, I did not get electrocuted. That's not why I was in the hospital. No, a little girl did not get revenge for me stealing candy. And no, the hyperpolyglots did not get to me. This time it was just life, unfortunately. But while I was in this little town, there was one thing that I ate that she didn't. So we went to this little shop, and I was kind of craving, you know, chocolate or something like that. And I decided to buy an ice cream from this fridge. And when we paid for the ice cream, the guy said it was literally one, like, the equivalent of Chinese RMB. So it's like 1 RMB. And it was like, okay, that was cheap. And my wife even was surprised about that, but whatever. So we bought this ice cream, walked away. I opened the packet. And you know how like an ice cream's like normally like that, or like an ice cream block or whatever? This thing was like smashed up into the corner, and I just thought maybe it was like crushed, but I wasn't too sure. And I took one bite out of it, and I was like, I'm not sure if I want to eat this. Like, maybe this thing, like, you know, it was previously refrigerated. They lost power here because this is a remote area. It melted, then they refroze it. Whatever. I didn't even take a full bite. Like, I took a corner of a bite, and I was like, yeah, nah, this is going in the bin. And I chucked it in the bin. That was the only thing I ate different, and I'm pretty sure that was the cause. Like, maybe there was, like, some bad milk in that thing. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you guys want me to try out any more viruses, you got any, like, viral recommendations, let me know in the comment section below. You know, old mate Evildea, he's up for a challenge. And I'll see you all in the next video. And right now, I'm going back to rest and